Welcome to the Here's Hope Project, where your story creates hope. I'm Sarah Jane, and in today's episode, we'll be talking with Krissie Martinez, who is Zyler's mother. Zyler was a force to be reckoned with. Diagnosed with congenital heart defects, Zyler fought hard for 4 years until he unfortunately passed away due to complications from open heart surgery. So we'll be talking today with Krissie about what life is like after child loss, about how it affects the siblings, about how they all cope as a family, and we'll even touch on what others should or maybe shouldn't say when it comes to a family who has lost a child. All right, let's go meet Krissie. 'Cause it's here where we lay in my blanket of despair, where I'm weak but I'm strong and black smoke fills the air, where I'm burned and broken. Hi, Krissie. I
Hello.
love you. I love you.
I love you too.
I'm excited to have you on today to share your story. So thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I've known you and Zyler for, gosh, about 7 years or so. I think I had met you in 2016, end of 2016 or so. Zyler was one.
Yes.
And he's so silly. I was just looking at a Facebook Live that we did in 2019, and he was in the background, and he ran towards the couch, headbutted the couch, and stuck his butt in the air, and just kind of sat there and didn't move.
Yeah.
He is so silly. And I mean, some of my favorite things about him were, I mean, I loved his Snapchats. I will always say that. He is the Snapchat king in my book. I mean, I would be having a hard day, and I'd go search for a Snapchat of Zyler because it would literally brighten my day. I think I even sent you a text once. I don't know if you remember, but I was just saying, I'm kind of struggling today. Can I have a Snapchat of Zyler? Do you have a new one? Remember? And then you instantly uplifted me. So I love you guys so much.
We love you too.
So I'm so glad that we're able to keep in touch all these years after.
Yeah.
We're like sisters now.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So unfortunately, Zyler passed due to complications of open heart surgery in July 2019. And I still remember laying in bed and I got that text from you. And I remember just staring at the text, like the message for like 5 to 10 minutes, no words, just kind of in shock. Just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was so convinced that he was going to make it because he's been through so much already. And I just assumed this is just another bump in the road. He's going to overcome this. But no, he didn't. And that's heartbreaking. It must have been like the worst day of your life. And so I want to talk to you about that, just about what that looked for you, what grief looks like, and how you cope and get through it. But first, why don't we just spend a minute or two if you want to talk about just, what kind of kid Zyler was and what we are always going to remember him for and the legacy he's leaving behind, and just a little bit about his story up until that day in 2019.
Well, I mean, he was, once I was pregnant with him, we found out he was a boy, and then we found out, there was something wrong with him. And the easy way out would have been, just terminating the pregnancy. But no, we kept going. We kept going. We had faith that he was going to be born and, he was going to be okay. And then once he was born, it was a rocky road. And he had his first surgery when he was about 8 days old. Next open heart, he had his, I think he was 11 months old. And he was good. He was good after that. Lots of times he got sick or whatever, but we got to keep him home. And, he was just a tornado. Like so many people say, no, they're always sleeping. They don't have energy. No, he had energy. Believe me, he had energy. He was just everywhere. And very smart, especially about his dinosaurs. Like that was his favorite thing, were the dinosaurs. He kept us on our toes. He was a very special kid. Yeah, he was just a normal kid, unless he didn't have his shirt on, then you can see like his scars and, stuff like that. But he was just as normal as anything, just keeping always busy, always on his, watching Mr. Bean and what was the other one? Octonauts and all of those, like PJ Masks, just a normal little boy. We never thought we had it in the back of our mind that something could happen, but the way he lived, we never thought, it would be that soon.
Yeah. So
So,
what exactly happened? I know he had in July, mid-July maybe, he had a heart cath, and then
mhm.
a week or so after that, he had open heart surgery. And then what
Yes,
happened? What went wrong?
so many things, like he went in July 9th and, just normal, like, okay, it's just one more heart surgery. Everything's going to be fine. And that same night, they had to open him up again. The next morning, they just kept saying, oh, well, this has to get fixed or this has to get fixed. And, it was just every single day for the next 10 days, surgery after surgery after surgery. And, he just, he didn't wake up. He didn't wake up. And um, they finally got his heart to work right. But, it was an infection in the blood. And then, he wasn't born with a spleen, so it was a lot harder for him to fight off anything. And just one thing after another, 9 surgeries, 10 days, and his body was tired. He couldn't do it anymore. Then he ended up with a brain bleed, and even like that, we were like, okay, even if he doesn't wake up, as long as we can take him home, like we'll take care of him there. But no, it didn't work out that way.
No, unfortunately, it didn't.
Yeah, so
Ugh.
he was gonna lose his leg too.
Yeah, I remember.
His leg had turned black, but there was nothing they could do about the blood clots in his leg because so many other things were more important.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
I guess, what was that like when it finally happened? What did everything just kind of crumble and fall apart and you felt everything at once, or were you just in shock and kind of numb? What did that moment and what did the next few days look like after that?
Once we had to disconnect him and we held him and everything, there was like tears and the kids were crying and but it was just kind of like, okay, a part of us was like, okay, well, now he's going to be able to rest. He's going to be full, like he's going to be, perfectly fine. He's not suffering anymore. Like he's going to be able to, run and play and stuff. But then at the same time, it was just kind of like, I brought him in here walking. We've done this so many other times. Like, what happened?
Hmm.
And there's just nobody really knows what happened. It was just one thing after another.
Yeah. So did you spend a lot of time in the hospital after that? Did you go home right away? What did it look like right after?
We spent the whole day. The kids finally went out to the rest of the family, and my best friend was there, and she was taking care of him. And me and Juan, we gave Zyler his last bath before they took him down to the morgue, and we just kind of after that we just kind of went back to the hotel room. Like there was no expression, nobody was really saying much, and then it was just kind of blank, like just very numb for all of us.
Yeah. Did you find it hard to function?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I would get, Laylee ready, and we stayed in Dallas for about a week or so until we could get his ashes. But it was just very weird. Like it was like we knew we weren't going to go back to the hospital. We knew that there was not going to be any more doctor visits for him, and I guess once it really did hit us all was when we went back to the funeral home to pick up his ashes.
Yeah.
And I think that's when it was just kind of like, we came here, 6 of us, and now it's just 5 of us.
So
So,
Zyler, he had three siblings, and they all kind of vary in ages. There's
mhm.
Laylee, Bella, and Anthony. Um,
Yes.
so how old were they when this happened, and how did they kind of respond and take all of this in?
Bella was 12, and then Anthony was 14, and Laylee, she was, I think, 5. Yeah, 'cause she's 9 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was 5. Laylee's just kind of, oh, we'll go get him in a little bit. And Anthony and Bella, well, they were in the room until he took his last breath. So it was just kind of like, a little bit harder on them. But with everything going on, like they didn't really show too much emotion. There was a whole bunch of, you know, random family. And then there was like people that have been with us since like the beginning. You know what I mean? It was just very different. And I don't think, it really did hit them until we came back to Mount Pleasant. That's when it really did, hit like, okay,
Yeah.
that's it.
And then how was it? How did their friends react? The school react? Did they get support?
Anthony and Bella are more, don't mention anything to the school, don't very like they wanted to keep it to themselves in a way. But here in Mount Pleasant, Juan has family here, so his cousins were posting stuff, and so I guess some of the other people at school found out, and Anthony and Bella were just very like, okay, like I guess angry, but at the same time, like they would tell him, "I'm so sorry for your loss," and I remember one time Bella was like, "Okay, I guess like he's dead. Like, what do you want me to do?" Like very angry.
Yeah.
And now Laylee just she didn't want to go back to school. She, it was hard. I think it was like harder for her since she was so much younger.
Hmm.
And she would always tell me, "I don't go to school because Zyler didn't get to go to school." It was a lot. They all kind of varied in a way. Anthony, I would have to pick him up a few times from school because he would just get real like anxious, like, oh, I heard this song and it was Zyler's favorite song, and oh, there was a somebody walked into the office and their kid looked like Zyler, like very triggering.
Yeah.
Bella started having like anxiety attacks and stuff like that. So
It sounds like they really just kind of cycled through emotions, kind of like the stages of grief. At first she was, or all of you were probably in shock and very numb, like you said.
mhm.
And then you were saying, they're angry. And then
Yeah.
they have moments where they're crying and they're heartbroken. And so, yeah, so it cycled a lot throughout
Hmm.
it. Is it still?
Now it's just kind of, it's like you never get over it. You just kind of learn to kind
To
of
live with
push through. Yeah.
it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I hear a lot from parents. Um,
Yeah.
so did they have any coping mechanisms, anything that they did that helped them get through it? How did you all get through it as a family?
We just kind of, we didn't really go places. We didn't, you know what I mean? We just kind of stayed like around each other in a way.
We were talking before about how, Bella was in theater and
Hmm.
Anthony wrote rap songs that
Yes.
sometimes had Zyler in it. I think that's amazing. I think
Yeah.
that's a great release. I love that he did that. You
Yeah.
have to share some of that with at least the lyrics. If he's too shy,
Yeah.
at least give me the lyrics because I love music. I think it changes everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. Uh, so is there? I know that it was important to you in this podcast, in this episode, that you really wanted people to know, what siblings go through because that's not really something that's talked about. Is there something maybe I haven't brought up or that you just really want people to know about what this is like for siblings?
Um, a lot of people, like a lot of parents who lose children, often. They don't, it's not on purpose, but I have seen it before. They kind of just leave the other, their other children like to fend for themselves. And I understand because that's, you don't want your children to see you so depressed or, going through something. But in my case, the most important ones besides my husband was the kids, because they're going through it. Like everybody asked the mom and the dad, how are y'all doing? How's this and that? And nobody really asked about the kids. So in my case, you would ask about the kids, and our cousins here from Mount Pleasant would ask about the kids, and my best friend, like all the kids always come first.
Yeah.
Yes, the mom lost her child, the husband, like the dad lost his child, but there's other children involved. Like if you have other children, you need to make sure that they're okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, they're okay. And, how are they coping? How are they sleeping? Just little things.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. Cause it's easy to forget, oh my God, my child died, but my other kids can fend for themselves. No, they can't. I don't care if, like, now Anthony's 18. It still doesn't matter. If he's down and, he wants to talk about Zyler or he's missing Zyler, like, they should be able to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, it has to be your kids,
Yeah.
also have feelings.
Speaking of that, because I know your kids, I mean, they gave you the strength to keep going. And all of your focus went on them because they
Yeah.
are obviously the most important thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So taking care of them, making sure they're okay, and dealing with everything okay. Did you have time? I'm wondering though, did you have time to kind of process your own feelings and to really feel and take in what was happening, or was you were just kind of solely just zeroed in on the kids?
I think I was more worried about about the kids than me.
Yeah.
Once, the kids were okay, the kids were in school and their day was going okay, then if I needed to go into the room and hold Zyler's things and scream and holler and let it out, then that's what I would do. And believe me, I did that quite a bit.
So
Quite a bit.
when you had those lows, and I'm just thinking when I have lows, I can't even get out of bed. How did you get yourself moving again and get back? How did you, I don't know, climb your way out of that pit?
I knew that, since I had a certain amount of time by myself, well, Juan was at work, the kids were at school, and I knew I had to, get stuff ready. If I needed to cry and, scream for Zyler and this and that, I would do it. But then I would also have to remember, okay, the kids are coming home in a little bit. They can't see me like this. I have to like be stronger for them, show them that I'm okay. Because if I'm not okay, they're not okay.
Yeah.
And that's what I would do. Just kind of gather myself and wash my face or something, and just kind of act like I was okay the whole day.
Yeah. You were talking a few minutes ago about how, people always asked how you're doing versus the kids. And after a loss like that, I'm really curious about this because I think a lot of people like me who maybe don't have children or have fortunately not experienced the loss of a child or even the death of a loved one, how, a lot of people, they will say, I'm so sorry for your loss. Things will get easier over time and they're in a better place.
Mm-hmm.
How does those words make you feel? And is there something else that we should be saying or doing? Are those things that you think are good to say, or there's something else that we should do or say just to bring comfort and just to let you know that we're thinking of you?
Just I'm sorry for your loss. That's a lot of people do say that, and they mean well, but you know with us it's just kind of like why don't be sorry, like he fought and he was a badass. He fought like hell, let me tell you. He fought like hell, and when he passed away, it hurts. No, it doesn't get easier. yes, I wish I could bring him back. I wish I could trade places with him, when he was in the hospital. But, things, it's better just to kind of, ask, how y'all doing? Or just hug people, just
Yeah.
hug them.
Yeah. Or just let them know. I think, yeah, that you're thinking about them. When I have a parent or someone that I know experiences a loss like that, I'll just go to them and I say, like, I know that there's nothing I can possibly do
Hmm.
to make
Yeah.
anything better, but just know that I'm here for you if you need to talk. I'm thinking about you, sending you love and hugs. And yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah. That's all, that's all we want to hear is, that there's somebody still there, like, waiting for us to be able to say, okay, I'm ready to talk about it, or, just
Mhm.
something. But the whole, oh, it'll get better. No, it doesn't. It's going to
Yeah.
be 4 years in July. It doesn't get better. You just kind of just keep going. You don't have a choice. We didn't sign up for this club, and now we're in it.
Yeah, you learn to live with it. So I know in a lot of situations too that families that experience loss that they'll lose family and friends, maybe because they just don't know what to say or how to
Mhm.
approach you. Did you find that that happened, and where did
Yes,
you find support?
yes. Um, well, me and the kids, the two older ones, we don't really have like blood family here in Mount Pleasant. So there is, you know, Juan has family here. So for us, it was mostly, our cousin Maxie, Ashley, their husbands, our tia Gloria, them, Jesse, George. They're the ones that have never left our side. Like they would get off of work and go straight to the hospital from Mount Pleasant to Dallas, come back that same night, just to make sure that the kids had eaten, that we were okay, you know, and they're still around for us. You know what I mean? Like they're still always by our side. And then of course you have that like other family members who are just kind of like they were just there when he was here and then that was it. A lot of blame gets put and it happens whenever, my mom passed away when I was 16 and I got blamed. Like somebody passes away and blame's going to be put on somebody. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
I get like with Zyler, I was a mom. I was always with him at the doctors, but I couldn't. I did what the doctors told me to do.
So yeah, as you should be, doing what the doctors said. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember you and I were talking, and you were saying that other people approached you because you felt like something was wrong that day.
Mm-hmm.
And other people approach you and say, well, if you thought something was wrong, why did you bring him in? I mean, that's
Yeah,
awful. I don't understand how someone could somehow fathom that that's okay to say.
yeah, yeah. That morning, very different from all his other surgeries, and he got dressed in his little boxers, his little tank top, his little hat. He was ready. Once we got there and the nurses came to get him, he was more worried about losing the game in Fortnite than going with the nurses. And I was like, well, he's like, no, mommy, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Like, just kept telling me I don't want to go. And he had never done that. And I just kept telling him, no, well, look, the nurses are pretty, aren't they? He's like, uh-huh. I'm like, well, go with the pretty nurses. And he's like, no, mommy, there's a door. Let's go home. It's like, I don't want to go. So that was kind of like, that was kind of weird. Like we all just kind of had like a weird feeling, and didn't really, I guess, think too much of it. And we're just kind of like, no, it's probably just us. It's really early. We're tired. He'll be fine. Like he'll be fine. But it didn't.
You
Yeah.
probably did experience some guilt after that for doing, especially hearing that from other people.
Yeah.
How did you overcome that?
I mean, they weren't in our shoes. It wasn't their child. Their child wasn't the one coming out of a room and his little nails were blue, his mouth was blue. It wasn't them. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of like, you can't tell me unless you've been there, because he needed the neck surgery and we knew he did. But there's just not much. We just kind of got to the point where it was like people can say what they want, people can think what they want. We did what we thought was right. And it was just,
I mean, in those situations, you have to. Your best option is to trust just the doctors and what they're doing, and they are doing their best.
yeah,
It's just sometimes it just, I guess, doesn't work out,
yeah.
which is sad. Uh, is there anything that you would like to tell other parents that may be listening that have just experienced the child loss or are going through it? Is there any hope or anything that you can give them just about, because you're going 4 years after?
Mhm.
Is there anything you'd like them to know?
You do learn how to cope with it as the time goes on. No, you will never forget. You'll always have that one piece missing, but like there's people that will be there for you know the parents. There's people that you always have to have your close circle. Yes, your child, you lost a child, and every day you will remember, something will bring it up, but you know you can keep going. Like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Do not give up, because that, especially if you have other children, don't give up.
Yeah, for sure. That reminds me actually of something you told me last year, I think in September, and I will always hold on to this because I thought it was just beautiful. It was so well spoken and thought of. You said, "Zyler's death killed me, but also gave me life.
Mhm.
He showed me how to live. Always
Yep.
remember, there's a light through all of the darkness and pain. It will always hurt, but we will get through it."
Mhm.
I just love that. There's so much power in that, especially that first sentence. Zyler's death killed me, but also gave me life.
Yep.
How can you maybe expand on that? And how did he teach you to live? What is the part where he gave you life?
he he was born with half a heart. He went through so much, and he did not give a damn about anything. Like, he still lived life, and he showed us how to like really fight. And we had random people we've never even met, tell us, "Oh, we were praying for your son, Zyler will be missed." And he literally, was a light. Like, he did. Yes, it did kill us when he passed away, but to this day people still talk about him. Like, his name has never stopped being spoken.
Yeah, and it never
And
will. It always will
yeah,
be spoken about. His story will continue to be shared,
yeah,
because he just was that kind of light. He had that effect on people.
he really did.
That must feel good as a parent just to know that he's living on and he always will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. Yep.
Yeah. So we're coming up on time here, but I just want to thank you for coming on again and just talking with us.
Thank you so much.